There's a moment no one prepares you for. She's upset. Not screaming, not crying, just quiet. And in that stillness, you feel it, that what she needs isn't an apology, isn't a fix, isn't even an answer. She just needs to know you're not going to fold now, that you can hold the room when she's unraveling. Most men don't know what to do in that moment, so they do too much. Or worse, nothing. But what if the most attractive thing about a man wasn't what he said, or did, or gave, but how still he stayed when the waves came in? If you've ever been that man on the edge of saying the wrong thing, of being too quiet, of letting her slip away without understanding why, then this is for you. Like this video, if you feel the pull, subscribe. Not because you have to, but because some part of you is ready to listen differently. And share this with a friend who's been doing everything except holding still. Now, let's begin. She doesn't need you to be perfect. She just needs to know that when the world feels like too much, you won't become another thing she has to manage. That's what emotional certainty means. Not being emotionless, not pretending you're always okay, but showing up with stability, especially when she can't. Let me paint it simply. She's had a long day. She's upset, maybe overwhelmed. Her voice is sharp, her words a little unfair. Most men either shut down or escalate. They take it personal. They get defensive. They fight back or withdraw completely. But the man who knows how to hold emotional certainty, he doesn't flinch. He listens. Not passively, but grounded. He doesn't try to fix her. He just doesn't duh to the fire. And in that moment, she relaxes. Not because everything is solved, but because she feels safe enough to breathe. You'd be surprised how much trust is built, not in grand gestures, but in how calm you stay when things get messy. Here's the truth. Most men miss. If she feels like she has to regulate your moods, she'll stop trusting you with hers. And once that happens, the emotional intimacy is gone. So stop trying to be the hero. Be the harbor, the place where the storm can pass without sinking either of you. You don't need the perfect answer. You just need to stay anchored. Even a few quiet words, like "I hear you," "I'm not going anywhere," can do more than a 5-minute speech, because emotional certainty isn't loud, it's just steady. And that steadiness is what makes her feel like she doesn't have to carry everything alone anymore. She says she doesn't like games, and maybe she means it. But the truth is, what pulls her in is never what's obvious. It's the unanswered question, the glance that lingers but doesn't beg, the man who's fully present yet slightly out of reach. Women aren't drawn to mystery because they want to chase. They're drawn to it because it gives them space to feel something deeper. Think about it. The guy who's always available, always texting, always giving, he means well. But over time, she stops leaning in. Not because he did anything wrong, but because there's nothing left to discover. Attraction fades when everything is already hers. But the man who has a life, a rhythm of his own, who doesn't drop everything the second she calls, he creates tension. Not the kind that hurts, the kind that hums like a song she can't quite finish. It's not about playing hard to get. It's about being full enough without her. When your world continues with or without her text, she notices. When you say, "Let me get back to you," not as a tactic, but because you're living intentionally, she feels that. She doesn't want to be ignored. She wants to earn access to your presence, to feel like every layer of you revealed is chosen, not automatic. And here's what happens when you do that right. She becomes more curious, more present, more intentional, because now she's not reacting to pressure. She's responding to pace. So next time you feel the urge to respond instantly, pause. Next time you want to explain everything in one night, don't. Let her wonder just a little, not to confuse her, but to respect the journey. You're not withholding yourself. You're revealing yourself, like a good book, chapter by chapter. And the best stories, they don't give you the ending on page 1. They make you feel. They make you stay. You walk into a room. You don't say much. You're not dressed to impress. You're not trying to be noticed. But still, they feel you. Not because you demanded attention, but because you didn't need it. That's presence. It's the unspoken signal that says, I know who I am, even if you don't yet. And for women, that kind of quiet command is magnetic. It starts with your voice. Not just how deep it is, but how grounded. Do you rush your words? Do you fill silence with noise? Or do you speak slowly, as if your time and your truth matter? A calm, deliberate voice tells her, this man isn't easily shaken. It tells her you're not performing. You're just here, fully. And that's rare. But it doesn't stop at your voice. It's how you move, how you sit, how you hold eye contact, not aggressively, but without apology. Presence isn't about volume. It's about density. Most men enter a space with questions. Do they like me? Am I good enough? Should I prove myself? But the man with presence enters with one quiet statement. I'm here. Let's see who else is. And that confidence, it doesn't need to dominate. It just resonates. Because energy introduces you before your words ever do. And when a woman senses that, when she realizes she's in the company of someone who doesn't flinch, doesn't fidget, doesn't chase. She leans in, not always physically, but emotionally, because she can feel it. This isn't a man trying to be chosen. This is a man who's already chosen himself. So if you want to attract without effort, stop trying to be impressive. Start becoming centered. Your voice will deepen on its own. Your gaze will soften, but stay steady. Your presence will do what no line or flex or smile ever could. It will say, without a word, you are safe here, but only if you choose to be. There's a shift that happens the moment she knows you'll stay no matter what. Not from love, not from loyalty, but from fear of losing her, of being alone, of not finding someone else. And the moment she feels that fear in you, she stops feeling safe in your strength, because now she's the center of your gravity, not your values, not your purpose, her. And as flattering as that might seem, at first it becomes heavy, because no one wants to carry someone else's self-worth. That's why one of the deepest psychological triggers in women is witnessing a man who can walk away, not out of ego, not in punishment, but from clarity. A man who knows what he'll tolerate and what he won't. A man who stays when he's respected and leaves when he's not. She doesn't have to guess where she stands, but she also knows if she starts playing games, if she pushes too far, if she stops showing up, you'll go. Not with drama, not with blame, just quietly. Because your peace means more than her potential. That's not cruelty. That's self-respect, sir. And here's the paradox. The man who can leave rarely has to, because the moment she senses that your love is a choice, not a compulsion, she values it more. She knows you're not there out of fear. You're there because you want to be. And that, more than flowers or words or gestures, makes her feel chosen. So ask yourself, would I still stay if I knew I'd be okay without her? Or am I holding on because I've forgotten how to hold myself? Walk away not to hurt her, but to remind yourself you were whole before this began. And if love is meant to return, it will walk beside you, not drag behind you. She wants to feel chosen, but not worshipped, needed, but not prioritized above all else, because deep down she knows the man who orbits her eventually loses himself. And when that happens, she can't respect him, no matter how much he gives. That's why one of the deepest triggers of attraction is a man with a mission. Not a man who's busy, not a man who hides behind work to avoid intimacy, but a man who is building something with or without her applause. She watches how you spend your time, not because she's nosy, but because it tells her what drives you, when no one's watching? Do you wake up with vision? Do your eyes light up when you talk about your craft, your goals, your personal war? Or are you just waiting for her text to decide how your day feels? A man with a mission isn't rude. He's rooted. He doesn't cancel plans because she's free. He doesn't drop everything at the sound of a ringtone. Not because he doesn't learn, but because he cares deeply about what he's here to do. And that devotion is magnetic, because she's not just joining your life, she's joining something larger than both of you. Women don't want to be the mission. They want to be part of something worthy of devotion. And when you have that, you stop chasing. Not because you're cold, but because your path is already moving. And anyone who walks beside you must be aligned, not just adored. So ask yourself, what am I building without her presence or praise? If the answer is unclear, start there. Because without a mission, you'll mistake attention for love and presence for purpose. But when you lead with something deeper, she'll feel it. And more often than not, she'll want to follow. Most men were never taught how to feel without falling apart. So they either hold everything in until they go numb, or they spill it all out, hoping someone else will hold the weight for them. But women don't need a man who's always open. They need a man who's anchored even when he opens. Vulnerability isn't weakness, it's weight. And when you offer it carelessly, without containment, it stops being connection. It becomes pressure. That's why controlled vulnerability is so powerful. It's not about hiding what you feel. It's about owning it before you share it. You don't cry, so she'll comfort you. You don't vent, so she'll fix you. You share after you've faced it alone first. Because when a man talks about what broke him, but he speaks from the other side with calm, with insight, with clarity, she listens differently. She doesn't see a boy crying for help. She sees a man who's been through something and learned how to carry it. And that is magnetic. It tells her if he can hold his own pain, maybe he can hold mine too. You don't have to tell her everything. In fact, don't. Let her earn pieces of you over time. Let her discover your depths like hidden rooms, one door at a time. You're not a project to be explained. You're a presence to be felt. And when you share something real, something raw, do it. Like you're offering a gift, not begging for permission. She doesn't need your perfect strength. She needs your honest containment. That's the paradox. The man who cries with control is more powerful than the one who pretends not to feel. Because he's not leaking. He's leading. So feel it all. Just don't drown in it. And don't ask her to be the lifeguard. Be the ocean that holds its storms without swallowing the shore. She doesn't test you to hurt you. She tests you because some part of her, often a part she doesn't fully understand, is asking, "Can you hold me when I can't hold myself?" That's the real question behind the challenge, the attitude, the withdrawal. She doesn't need you to dominate her. She needs to feel that you won't disappear under pressure. Most men fail these tests not because they're weak, but because they take them personally. She pulls away. He chases. She criticizes. He crumbles. She questions him, and he defends, explains, pleads. But the man who passes her tests, he doesn't react. He responds. He stays calm when she gets emotional. He smiles softly when she tries to provoke. He says little when she needs noise, and nothing when silence says more. It's not indifference, it's clarity, because he knows what she's really asking is, "Are you safe? Can I trust your center? Or do I have to become the strong one again?" And that's what most men don't realize. Women test you because they want you to pass. Because if they can feel your steadiness in the storm, they can finally rest. Not in submission, but in relief. These moments aren't games. They're invitations, not to prove your worth, but to stand in it. So next time she challenges you, pause. Feel the urge to explain, to argue, to win. And don't. Not because you're above it, but because you've outgrown it. Say less. Hold eye contact. Stay still. Let her emotions crash and know they're not about you. They're about her search for safety, disguised as a storm. And when the waves settle, what's left is a woman who sees something rare, a man who doesn't flinch, who doesn't chase, who doesn't fold when the room gets loud, a man who makes her feel like she can finally stop testing, because now she's found home. Rejection hurts, not because of the no, but because of what you believe that no means about you. I'm not good enough. I'll never be chosen. What's wrong with me? That's the echo. And that's where most men lose themselves. But rejection is just information. It says nothing about your worth, only about alignment. And the man who understands this, he becomes untouchable. Not because he's arrogant, but because he no longer ties his value to being wanted. You can see it in the way he responds. She says she's not interested. He smiles, says, "No worries, be well," and walks away with the same calm he arrived with. Not fake indifference, not bravado, just presence that doesn't panic, because he knows her no doesn't shrink him. It refines him. It reminds him to stay rooted in who he is, not in who she might have imagined. And that kind of confidence, it stays with her long after the conversation ends, long after she forgets his name, because she remembers how he didn't flinch. Confidence in rejection isn't about always winning. It's about not needing to. It's laughing at the silence, not crumbling under it. It's walking out of the room with your head high, not your hope low. Because your value doesn't rise when she says yes, and it doesn't fall when she says no. It's constant, if you let it be. So next time you feel the sting, breathe. Not to numb it, but to face it, to remind yourself you didn't lose love. You just made space for something truer to find you. And that grace, that quiet ease, that's what makes rejection forgettable. And you unforgettable. She's not obsessed with you. She's obsessed with what you haven't said yet, the spaces between your words, the way you listen without revealing everything, the way your silence isn't empty, but charged. It's not about being mysterious for attention. It's about being unreadable in the way that a mountain is unreadable. Still, present, but impossible to measure at a glance. Because when she knows exactly how you feel all the time, when your replies are instant, your emotions fully explained, your intentions always clarified, there's nothing left to explore. Curiosity fades, and with it, the chase. But when you answer slowly, when your feelings emerge like fog, not fireworks, when she has to pay attention to know where you stand, she becomes more alive in your presence. Because now she's not reacting. She's wondering. And wondering is the birthplace of desire. You don't have to be cold. You don't have to ignore her. Just don't rush to fill every silence with confession. Don't explain yourself so quickly she never has to lean in. You're not hiding. You're honoring your rhythm. That means taking a moment before replying, sharing emotions slowly as you process them, not as they erupt. Holding parts of yourself sacred, not because they're secrets, but because they're earned. She doesn't want a script. She wants a story, one that unfolds, one where she gets to discover you the way people discover meaning. Not all at once, not by asking, but by staying. So be hard to read, not to confuse her, but to invite her into something real. Because the man who speaks less but means more, who shares less but feels more, who stays quiet, not out of fear, but out of depth. He lingers in her mind long after louder men fade. And that isn't a game. That's gravity. Most men let desire steer the wheel. They chase what glows, what responds, what looks back with even a flicker of interest. Not because they're weak, but because they've never learned how to sit with longing without acting on it. But the man who can feel desire rise and not move, not reach, not bend, not compromise. He holds the kind of power you can't fake. Women feel it. In the way he looks at them fully, but not hungrily. in the way he speaks, warm but not eager, in the way he walks away, not coldly but unattached, because he's not controlled by what he wants. He's led by what he chooses. Most men spend their energy trying to impress, seduce, or earn approval, and in doing so, they become hollow. But the man who holds his energy like fire in a lantern, contained, quiet, glowing, he doesn't chase. He draws. He chooses slowly. Not because he's afraid to feel, but because he knows the cost of losing himself in someone who hasn't earned him. And that restraint, that self-honoring, it's irresistible, because in a world of men who will do anything to be wanted, the one who can want without needing feels like a mountain, still, silent, unmoved by the winds of validation. So ask yourself, do I move because I'm lit from within, or because I'm looking for someone else to light me? Because when you stop chasing pleasure and start choosing presence, you stop being another seeker and start becoming the one they seek, not because of what you do, but because of what you don't give away too easily. Your focus, your attention, your soul. You become rare, not by being distant, but by being disciplined. So maybe now it makes more sense why she pulled away even when you gave your all. Why she leaned in when you said less. Why she kept testing, kept wondering, kept feeling long after you thought she was done. It wasn't about games, it was about gravity. And now you know what creates it. Not charm, not chase, but quiet things. Things like emotional steadiness, mysterious depth, purpose that moves with or without her, the courage to walk away, and the restraint to stay still. These are not tricks. They're truths, and once you feel them, you can't go back. Because now, you don't just want to be chosen, you want to be centered. And here's the quiet promise. When you become that man, you won't need to convince anyone of your worth. They'll feel it in the way you walk, in the silence you hold, in the peace you refuse to trade for attention. So let go of the noise. Let go of the fear. Start becoming the kind of man who no longer asks, "How do I get her?" but instead, "How do I stay with myself?" No matter who stays with me, if that landed somewhere in you, somewhere that feels quiet but alive, then stay with us. Like this video, not out of habit, but because you mean it. Subscribe to Silent Sage Stories if you want more midnight truths, told slowly, told honestly. And share this with someone who's been loud but lost. We're not here to chase. We're here to remember and then become.